Hey guys, Metal Viking 82 here. I know it's been a while since I've done a video. Just been busy with work and the holidays and just life in general. But I wanted to come in here and show you my top 25 EPs, demos, and splits of 2023. I always try to do my lists at the beginning of the year to give time for those, late releases and everything. And 2023 was a great year for metal, especially death metal. A lot of cool stuff to show off here. So I'm gonna start things off with a digital release. Doesn't have a physical release, and by the way, none of these are going to be ranked. It's just how I have them kind of organized. I've stopped ranking things. It makes it way too difficult for me. But yeah, I'm going to kick things off with the band Salarian with their demo 2023. And this is a band that was formed from the ashes of Carnal Ruin by two of the members. This band kind of has a more old school death metal style as compared to the more Swedish stylings of Carnal Ruin. Great guitar work with just some killer solos, solid drumming. The whole thing is heavy yet catchy and headbangable. The production overall I thought was really solid, especially the drum production. I really love the double bass work and the blast beats on this demo. Vocally, it's kind of like a more clearer version of intestine ballism. At least that's the vibe I got from it. But yeah, really cool demo. Definitely looking forward to hearing more from this band. And now I'm going to actually do all the Indiana band releases that I got that really impressed me this year. Starting off with Vile Iniquities, Unto the Earth. Yeah, these Columbus-based Black Thrashers put out this 2-track EP of songs that basically just didn't fit with the style of what their forthcoming full-length album was going to be, and they figured they were going to go ahead and put these out for people to hear, and I thoroughly enjoyed this, and I was really glad that they actually released it. Thick bass right up in the mix, just providing a nice backbone and groove to all the songs. Solid drums with lots of good blast beats and double bass work. Filthy sounding guitars with a mix of fast thrashy riffs with more mid-pace black metal style riffs as well. Some really killer solos that utilize the whammy bar quite nicely, I have to say. And then topping it off are Zaffin's raspy and at times kind of John Tardy-ish style vocals, throwing in some more kind of traditional death growls as well. But yeah, really solid little EP. Don't know if we'll ever hear any more of that styling from this band, but still, it's very cool to hear it nonetheless. Next up, we have Fettiside with Promo 2023. Really dig that artwork. Yeah, after discovering this Fort Wayne-based death metal band's 2022 demo, I was stoked to check this out when they were announcing they were going to be releasing this latest promo, and I was not disappointed with it in the least. Thick bass, easily heard throughout this entire thing. I love the drums with some really great blast beats and double bass. Crunchy guitars with that dirty old school death metal tone to them that hit you with the mid to fast paced riffs with some kind of slower chugs and pinch harmonics and just really great solos. It's heavy, but yet it has some nice groove to it at times as well, topped by these low, intelligible growls, mixed with these just nasty sounding screams at times. When you get into track number 2, Adam's Apple Slices, I loved how the bass really comes through a little punchier in the beginning of that song with the fast double kicks underneath of it. Just sounded so badass. Next up, we have Lust Witch with Hands of Filth. With this new EP, the Indie Bruisers just not only debuted a new style, going from a doomy, sludgy style to a more kind of brutal death metal style. They also introduced their brand new vocalist, Chad Z. This is just primitive caveman brutality, thick bass, heavy chuggy riffs, and just brutal vocals from Chad, which are probably some of his best to date. Definitely go check this out. The band are currently taking a little hiatus to take care of some personal things, just kind of slow down because they've been doing a lot of shows and everything. But yeah, Lust Witch definitely had to make the list, as did this. This is Legion with Give You War. That's just a little sticker that's in there that I've never taken out of the case. But yeah, this is the first new material from this well-renowned death metal band from Muncie. First material in 9 years. These 5 tracks are just kind of a rough demo of what the band is going to be doing for their new forthcoming full-length album, which I'm very excited about. This is just pretty much old school death metal with thick bass right up in the front of the mix, great drumming with lots of good double bass and blast beats, excellent guitar work, and just these powerful and ferocious vocals. They kind of have a little bit of a Cannibal Corpse feel to them at times, but definitely dug these 5 tracks, and I'm really looking forward to that new album. Then we have Protrusion with their self-titled. And yeah, this Lafayette-based juggernaut kind of basically crept from the shadows and just laid waste to our ears with this debut demo of theirs. It's just heavy, primitive death metal with some of the gnarliest vocals I have heard all of 2023, I have to say. It's definitely rough around the edges, but I mean, it is a demo, but you cannot deny the talent of these guys, and it is definitely a band you want to keep an eye on. And then finally, we have a 4-way split, which does include an Indiana band, so that's kind of why I included this one first. But this is Faster Than the Devil 2, out on Wise Blood Records. Yeah, going through the 4 bands here, there was only like one that I was not familiar with. But starting things off, we have Vicious Blade, and their tracks are just fast, thrashy, with some crust elements to it. Some of Clarissa's best and most ferocious vocals. They are actually currently working on a debut full-length album, which I'm very excited about. Then Indiana's Blasted Heath give you 3 tracks, just some killer indie style black thrash. Has a lot of or a bit of a Black Knife kind of primitive punky feel to these songs at times, with the last track of theirs, Spiraling, crossing the event horizon, having probably the most black metal feeling song to the song. God, I cannot talk today. I apologize. Now, the band that I was not familiar with is The Gauntlet, and this is a one-man heavy metal, black metal, Viking metal outfit. This is just mid-paced, old-school black metal sounding, mixed with these faster, almost speed metal-ish black metal moments, such as track number 8, Screaming Steel, and then finally you get a nice mid-paced heavy metal affair on his last track, and then he tops it all off with just some absolutely sick vocals. Then finally, the last one that I was definitely familiar with is Bastard Cross, just full speed ahead black thrash with just savage vocals that kind of almost remind you a little bit of Athenar from Midnight. It's savage, but yet it has melodic riffs too throughout. A good example is track number 11, Whores and Hexes, at about the 144 mark. Really good stuff. Definitely go check out that split if you have not already. All right, moving along now. We have Maul with Desecration and Enchantment. Yeah, this Fargo-based death metal juggernaut recently signed to 20 Buck Spin, and they released this 3-track EP as kind of a taster of what's to come with their forthcoming album. And this actually includes a 3rd track that was not available on the digital version that you could buy off of Bandcamp. Yeah, this is just got thick bass, easily made out throughout, solid drumming, and a crunchy guitar tone that just hits you with these mid to fast-paced riffs and some pinch harmonics thrown in at times, as well as, you know, slower chugs and just some really great solos. The one at about the 4:15 mark in the opening track, the Sacred and the Profane slash hovering, sinking, is kind of a little dissonant sounding as well. And then, you know, Garrett just growls, roars, and screams his heart out on here. When you get into track number 2, Disintegration of the Soul, about 4 minutes into that song, it kind of changes to this kind of slow, opethy, somber, you know, guitar strum with just, you know, taps of the cymbal joining in with just like a little beat now and then. And then at about 4:36, these, you know, faint, creepy keyboards kind of come in, giving a very, you know, ominous vibe to the whole song before it's back to business as usual with their crushing death metal at about the 5:55 mark. Really good EP. Cannot wait to hear more from them. Next up, we have Detest with Dawn of Sacrifice. Yeah, this LA-based death metal act dropped their debut demo on Rotted Life just last year, obviously. Oops, dropping my notes here. It's dirty, old-school style death metal guitars with fast, kind of thrashy riffs, thick bass that are not too high up in the mix, but can be heard all the same. They kind of seem to work in tandem with the guitars, kind of, you know, build that wall of heaviness. Really great drum production on here, with really nice patterns, rolls, and fills, and I love the double bass work. And then they're all topped off of these really low, intelligible growls. Absolutely vicious stuff. The guitars, though, kind of remind me a little bit of like early death, maybe a little bit of that Swedish death metal style, you know, buzz to them. And then when you get into track number 2, A Horrid Night, at about 3:27 in, you get to hear the bass by itself briefly and really get a good idea of that killer tone that they got. But yeah, definitely a band to keep an eye on. Next up, we have Anomaly with On the Cursed Wings of Stolas. Yeah, Milwaukee's Anomaly dropped this, their 3rd EP overall, last year, and it has fast become a new favorite of mine, as I just discovered this band through Metalomania. Shout out to the Crypt and Scully for introducing me to this band. Fast riffing, slightly technical, with some really great solos. I love the drumming and the vocals with their low growls mixed with the deathly shouts and snarls. It's vicious sounding stuff. They have a really great use of the keys on here for that kind of subtle atmosphere, never too overpowering. For example, on the opening track, On the Cursed Wings of Stolas, at about 1:50 in, and I just loved that almost robotic style vocal that comes in at about the 2:06 mark. It gives off a real cynic vibe to it. But yeah, definitely another band to keep an eye on. And then we have, excuse me, getting my notes here. You have Throat Locust, with Dragged Through Glass, and this is just 3 tracks of heavy, crunchy, guitar driven, you know, almost bolt thrower-ish, I should say, style of death metal. Very Terry Butler style bass, solid drum work on here, and the vocals kind of sound like a lower registered Glenn Benton. Absolutely killer stuff. I loved the solos with the whammy bar use, and just loved the grooves of these songs that really went along with the heaviness. It was heavy, but it was groovy, and just really got your head banging. Definitely some solid Texas death metal here, and this kind of starts a little pile here, I guess you can say, of Texas style death metal, which we're going to continue on with Stabbing in their demo 2023. This is a 2-track demo that is the first new material with their brand new drummer and bassist, both of whom are also in the band Architectural Genocide. I was really happy I was able to get a copy of this. I know the artwork is a little dark, but yeah, this is got some heavy as fuck riffs, lots of double bass and blast beats, and I think some of Bridget's best and most brutal vocals that she has done to date. Really looking forward to hearing more from this band. I know there's a little bit of drama going on there with the ex-members, but I try to stay out of that. Next up, we have Mythologic with their self-titled, and this is a new project of Brian Eckerman from Scars of the Flesh, Wings of Abaddon, among others. And this debut EP is a very interesting take on the melodic death thrash sound. Musically, it is thrashy, but it also has those, you know, death and black metal elements that Brian is known for with his other bands. But instead of your typical kind of deathly delivery to the vocals, vocalist Joe Gregory does just your standard thrashy shout. You know, and I gotta say though, it's a very interesting listen, but they also got a great use of the pianos and the synths on here as well for more atmospheric purposes. Never overpowering, just really great guitar solos as well, and just an overall solid production and performance on here, and just makes it a very fun listen. It's definitely a more interesting take on the genre, but I definitely enjoyed it. Then we have, finally, for the Texas onslaught, Embodied Torment with Archaic Bloodshed. And yeah, this is the first material from this band in 8 years, and the first with their new lineup with original drummer Cindy leaving the band not long, but I think before this actually came out, I mean before it was even recorded. Just, yeah, fast, heavy riffs with some thick bass that's not too high up in the mix, pounding drums with just killer blast beats and double bass work and low, croaky vocals. I was really worried when Cindy stepped down how this band was going to sound, because she was kind of, you know, what I'm used to when it comes to Embodied Torment, but I think her replacement is more than capable of filling in her shoes, and yeah, I look forward to more from this band. Next up, we have Tombstalker with Age of Darkness. Yeah, this Kentucky-based death thrash band presented us with their third EP overall last year, and this was actually my intro to the band. I absolutely love this EP. It is just full of heavy yet galloping grooves that get the head bang, and just overall solid musicianship throughout the entire thing. I did a review of this if you want my full thoughts on it. Probably my favorite track on here, though, is track number 3, Age of Darkness. It's this just somber instrumental with acoustic guitars. I just love the interplay between the dual guitars and that nice little solo at about 2:06 into the song. Really good stuff. Got another split here. We have Dream Unending and Worm with their Star Path split. And, Dream Unending is kind of, slow, doomy death, which is absolutely killer growls. Great guitar work on their 2 songs with some nice solos. And the atmosphere that is created with the riffs that they have is just so amazing. And they make things just so catchy to listen to. The music at times kind of seems so ethereal to kind of counteract the doomier aspects of them. And then when you get into Worm, they're more of like a black metal style in nature, with lots of atmospheric synth work to give things these haunting and creepy feelings, and at times it's makes them a little more epic in nature, if you will. They do slow things down to a doomy crawl at times with the added growls into the more black metal style vocals, which the black metal vocals actually kind of remind me of Mirah of Psy. Just such amazing guitar work on their tracks as well, with the dual guitars and the heavy metal style riffs that they put in at times. Just some absolutely killer solos. And then when you get into track number 5, the last track, Sea of Sorrow, I just love the keyboard opening and that guitar solo with the waves rolling and crashing underneath. Just very, very cool sounding. Next up, shout out to Necrotic Nick for introducing me to this band. This is Unspeakable with Gazed Upon the Yellow Sign. Black and death metal out of Missouri. This is their debut EP. Production isn't overly polished on here, but I really love the bass tone that they got on this thing. It has that kind of recorded in a rehearsal room sort of feel to it, but I absolutely loved listening to this. Seriously reminds me of latter era Darkthrone. That was what I got when I was listening to this. I was really getting a Darkthrone vibe from it. But yeah, if you love black and death metal, and especially Darkthrone, the latter, kind of newer stuff, go check out Unspeakable. Next up, Torture Tomb with their I believe it's the self-titled. Yep. Yeah, this is the second EP from this Kentucky-based black and death metal act that features ex-Knocked Loose guitarist Cole Crutchfield, as well as members of bands like Creeping Death, Combat, and Cleric, among others. This is just primitive, heavy death metal with a little bit of a bolt thrower heft to it. Got slow, chuggy riffs mixed with more mid to fast pace, and some really nice guitar solos on here. Solid drums with nice blast beats and double bass, and these powerful kind of cavernous growls with just nasty screams mixed in. Really good stuff. Go check them out. Another band that I did a review for is Inhumed, Feasted Upon Like Carrion. And this is the first EP overall. They do have a full-length album from, and these guys are out of Canada. Solid death metal. Like I said, this is my introduction to them. It's got thick bass with a techie kind of Alex Webster-ish feel to it. Heavy guitars that are mid-paced, with a little bit faster paced as well, and some kind of black metal style riffs popping up here and there. Overall, the drums were pretty solid on here, I thought, and just the vocals are nice, powerful mid-range growls. It kind of reminded me of Jesse from indie death metalers, Cadaverous. Really good stuff. Next up, Anoxia with Languish in Suffering. Old school style death metal from Australia, bringing us their debut EP. A lot of mid to fast paced riffs, thick twangy bass that's just right up in the mix, powerful drums, and equally powerful and intelligible mid-range growls. Really impressed with this EP here. Track number 3, Torturous Degradation, actually features a guest solo from Decrepit Burst Matt Sotelo, so that was very cool to hear. But very good band, definitely one to keep an eye on. Next up, Chunked with Inhaling the Infestation. Originally, this was a one-man project of one Aaron Malk, I believe is how you pronounce his name. But since this has been released, it's now actually a full-time band, or a full lineup band featuring Piss Rock drummer Cole Taylor. But yeah, this is just heavy, chunky death metal with slow, chunky riffs, with some pinch harmonics, mid-paced at times. Powerful mid-range growls with a little bit of a cavernous feel to them. And they mix them with some really nasty screams. Definitely a really nasty affair there. Next up, Face of Corruption with Demo. This is a two-man slam / brutal death metal band out of the New York and Washington areas, and this is their debut EP that I found just randomly on a distro I was looking at on Bandcamp Friday one time, and this was the only thing I ended up getting from them. This right here, it doesn't really reinvent the DM wheel or push the boundaries of death metal, but this is just a sort of short burst of primitive brutality you need to get your blood pumping. Definitely go check this one out. Next up, Corpse with Parasitic Entity Psychosis. Couldn't even hardly read that. Yeah, this is a doom death band out of Oregon, and yet another example of how killer the Oregon metal scene is. Heavy, crunchy guitars, rumbling, fuzzy bass, slow chugs with some kind of more mid-paced riffs now and then, and just cavernous yet intelligible growls and roars. They kind of remind me a little bit of LG Petrov at times, to be honest. Now, the one thing I did notice, though, is that after the opening track, the production seems to change just a little bit, but it still has, despite having that kind of more raw, primitive feel to the production, they still has a lot of heft to everything. But yeah, definitely a band I want to keep an eye on. All right, down to the last two here, and we are going to kick it off with the brand new one from Suffer: Gristle, Bruised Spots, and Trimmed Fat. Now, this is the first new material from this South Dakota death metal band's or this South Dakota-based death metal band. God, I cannot talk today. I apologize. Since their 2015 album Concubine, and is also the first material that they are putting out through their brand new label Wise Blood Records. Really dug the 3 tracks on here. Solid drumming, great guitar work that's heavy yet catchy and headbangable. I love the solos on here. The bass kind of tends to work with the guitars to build that wall of heaviness. They don't really stand out a whole lot. And then I think C.R. Pettit's scathing vocals are just as ferocious as ever. Now, the leadoff track, Human Primal Cuts, that opening riff reminds me a little bit of He Who Sleeps by Morbid Angel off their Gateways to Annihilation album. And then it also appears again at like 2:32, and then there's another riff at about 5:22 that kind of gives off a similar vibe, which I thought was pretty cool. So yeah, definitely go check out Suffer. They have a new album coming out hopefully sometime this year on Wise Blood. And last but not least, one that I would guess you would say is probably my demo of the year. I listened to this so many times. Once I got it, I had to put it up so I wouldn't get tired of it. And then when I went back to listen to it to get notes for this, it just still kicked my ass the same as it did that first time. This is Hrob with Demo 2023. Yeah, this is this Slovakian Doom Death Crew's debut demo, and it's just seriously impressed me. It's dreary, dissonant, and just heavy as balls. Think Ceremonium or the UK band Decomposed. Really great Doom Death. Highly, highly recommend checking this one out. All right, that is gonna do it. Thank you guys so much for watching and subscribing. Sorry if I rushed through these and fumbled. I haven't done a video in so long, and I just had so much to get there. I wanted to get it all done in one fell swoop. So yeah, that is gonna do it. Thank you guys so much for watching and subscribing. I will be doing my full-length list here at some point. Just gotta finalize a few things and get it all written out. So until then, stay brutal.